Open Arizona. Here in a few minutes, we're going to be doing the last gunfight of the day. So come on down, come on around, have some fun with us. We like shooting at each other. Now, we're going to, first off, we're going to fire off a shot, let everyone in town know we're getting ready to do something so they know something's going on. If they don't already know. So if you got sensitive ears, you might want to cover them because sometimes it's louder than we think it's going to be. You just never really know. And here it goes. All right. Well, here in a few minutes, we'll need some help blocking the road. First, we're going to tell you a little bit about Open. The Open is a gold mining camp, not a town. It was never incorporated into the state of Arizona. It only exists out here in these mountains because of gold. Gold mining started out here as early as 1865. The Moss Mine. Anyway, the Moss Mine sits about 2 miles off in that direction. It was operated from 1865 to 1942. But the gold that actually started the town of Oakland and the Boom Broken would not be found until 1895, the first time around. In 1895, a man by the name of John Whiteley was following Beale's trail when he realized there was a quartz vein over the side of the mountain. He went to investigate, realized there was gold in that quartz, so he went back to Kingman and stuck his claim on it. When he came back out to work his claim, somewhere along the line, two other men realized he found something out there, so they followed him out to Kingman to see what it was he found. When they realized what it was and how much of it there was, they all three got in a gunfight over the gold, and before it was all said and done, they were all three killed. So the gold was lost for another 4 years. 4 years later, in 1899, a man by the name of Jose Jerez was drug staked by Henry Loving just to get him out of Kingman for a while. Jose had been a colonel in the Mexican military, but by the time he got to Kingman, he was just a heavy drinker and kind of a nuisance. So they drug staked him just to get him out of town. They sent him out along Beale's Trail, somewhere around the top of Sick Creek Pass, which is about 5 miles up the road from here. In his telling the story, he fell asleep and his burros wandered off from him in the middle of the night. Most people knew him really well, said he more than likely just got drunk, passed out, forgot to tie his burros down. But in case the next day when he went to go find those burros, they were standing right next to the quartz vein that Whiteley put a claim on 4 years earlier. He went back to Kingman, him and Henry Loving put a claim on the very same piece of ground that Whiteley put a claim on 4 years earlier. They came out and they worked their claim for about 6 months. They got about 1,000 yards of ground, but they realized they didn't have the manpower or the money to get it up in operation the way it needed to be done. So they turned around and sold the whole thing to United States Steel. For today's money, about $1.5 million. Now, Henry Loving went on to be a very prosperous businessman and died a very wealthy man. Jose, on the other hand, took all his money and went to San Diego and spent it all on whiskey, women, and having a good time. It lasted him a couple of years. He ran out of money, so he came back to the Gold Road Mine and started working as a roustabout. He worked there for a couple of years till his alcoholism did him in. In his alcoholic delirium, he decided the reason he was losing all his weight had absolutely nothing to do with drinking too much. He figured because something crawled down his stomach in the middle of the night and was eating everything he was eating, so he wasn't getting any nourishment. But he also figured he knew how to solve that problem, so he mixed himself up a rat poison cocktail and drank it down. He had to kill the rat, all right, but he also killed himself. And now he's buried 3 miles up the road in the Gold Road Cemetery. Now that story was written up in the Kingman, Oakland, and Mineral Park newspapers back in the early 1900s. And from 1901 to 1942, Oakland was the most populated place in Mojave County, with an average population of a little over 10,000 people. And between 1910 and 1918, there were estimates there could have been as many as 40,000 people out in the mountains around us, all looking for gold. This was the place to be. But in 1942, when World War II started, Roosevelt deemed that gold mining was not necessary for fighting World War II. What he needed was the materials to fight the war with. So he asked the miners to go mine other things. They did. When they left, they took a lot of the infrastructure of Oakland out in order to fight World War II. Now in 1942, the population of Oakland would dwindle down to about 300 people. Those 300 stuck around, though, believing that coal mining was going to come back when the war was over. Because most geologists, when they left in 1942, thoroughly believed they had only taken a third of the gold out of these mountains. There may be two-thirds of it still, or even more, still here underground. And between 1901 and 1942, they took an estimated 36 million ounces out of gold out of here. So if that's only a third of it, there's still a lot of gold out here somewhere underground. And they never did find in any of the 7 veins we know run through these mountains, find what you would call the mother lode, or where the main source of the gold may have been coming from. So who knows how much gold might really be out here somewhere underground. But in any case, in 1942, the mining stopped and the population went to 300. But by 1951, when they realized the gold mining was not coming back anytime soon, they put in a bypass from Kingman to Needles, going around the backside of these mountains because they no longer need a Schaefer spring, which sits about 5 miles up the road just on the other side of Sick Creek Pass. When they no longer need it to water the radiators or the horses any longer, they put in a bypass and the town basically died. They went from a town of 300 to 3 almost overnight. It will remain 3-0 for the next 30 years. It disappeared from maps altogether for about 20 of those years. Watch out, folks. We're doing this fun. won't like me much, so this is good. This could get really interesting. In any case, in 1941 they put in the bypass, and then the Oatman died and went to a population of 3-0 for the next 30 years. It would disappear from maps altogether for about 20 of those years. This section of the road just kind of disappeared from road maps. And it wouldn't be until 1978 that I-40 would run right over the top of the bypass going around in the mountains. But when that happened, Oatman came back to some kind of life with people traveling down Route 66 again. Because if you wanted to stay on 66, you had to come the original route, what I call the Grapes of Wrath route, through the mountains and through Oatman once again. So they started coming back through. But then by 1986, they created an organization promoting Route 66 and the small towns that didn't bypass I-40. When that got up and running, more and more people started traveling through Oatman, and Oatman came back to some kind of a real life as a tourist town. Now, there are about 100 people who live up here today. There are 4 active gold mines in the area, all producing gold. Now, in 1942, when they shut the mining down, there were 60 different mining companies up here, all producing gold. There are about 300 mine shafts out here, everything from 100 feet down to 1,900 feet, and there's an estimated 300 miles of tunnel underneath us. So, if the gold mining were to come back, this could be a pretty different place to be. It pretty much is a tourist town right now. But now, the town of Oatman originally started out in 1901 as the town of Blue Ridge. You wouldn't become Oatman until 1909 when a book got circulated through the town written by a girl named Olive Oatman about a master of a family of 9, 150 miles south of here, down near Gila Bend. It was the master of a family of 9. Everyone was killed except for a young son who was left for dead and survived the attack. Marion Oatman and all men were taken captive by the Yavapai Indians. They would spend a year with the Yavapais, and then they were traded to the Mojave Indians down in the Colorado River. There they spent 4 years with the Mojave Indians. 3 years into that, Marianne died of starvation. But Olive managed to stay alive for another year with the Indians until a Spanish trader realized there was a white girl with the Indians. They went down, bartered with the company, and bartered with the Indians and got her out of captivity. And that was the book that changed the name of the town from Blue Ridge to Oatman in 1909. But most of us think the town probably ought to be called Ventnor, because the Oatman massacre happened 150 miles south of here, now near Gila Bend. But in 1858, the first wagon train to use the newly opened Beale Trail, which ran from Santa Fe, New Mexico to Los Angeles, California, right to the middle of these mountains, following the 35th parallel. It actually started going through these mountains about a half a mile up the road from here. But as it started going through, there was the first wagon train to use it was the Rose Baby wagon train, and with them came a family of 7 called the Ventnors. Now the Ventnors, like the Oatmans, got separated from the wagon train they were running with, and shortly after that, they were massacred by the Mojave Indians. And that massacre happened just 2 miles from here. So we figured I'd be Ventnor, but it's been Oatman ever since 1909 and still is today. All right, so we get a few people to help us block the road right here with 2 hats of standing. Dusty will show you where to stand down here. We don't need everybody, but we need 8 to 10 people on either end of the town. Keep lots of traffic know there's something going on, so they don't run us over while we're laying on the ground. We found out a long time ago they won't run you over standing up. That's murder. But if we're laying on the ground, it's an accident. And the guns we use never see live ammunition. We were Arizonans. We got plenty of guns. We go shoot other things out in the desert. These things we use in the street never see it. It never actually see live ammunition. So you're perfectly safe out here. All we use is gunpowder and a little cornmeal on the top, and we can shoot at each other 6 inches away and not even feel it. So might burn ourselves, but we don't feel it. Anyway. Okay, well, we are the Red Ridge Marauders. We started under the name about 7 years ago just to pick up slack. Some of the other gunfight groups were having health problems, other problems weren't getting out here all the time, so we figured we'd come out here and have some fun of our own. I've been doing gunfights in this town off and on for about 21 years now. Dusty's over here has been doing them for 10 or 14. 2 hats over here has been doing them for 3 or 4 with us. So we started the name Red Ridge Marauders just to pick up the slack. Now we do the same thing everybody else does. We do this for entertainment, hope it brings you to town, give you something else to do other than feed the burros, but we also do it for charity. Now what we donate to in particular is St. Jude's Research Hospital. And a lot of those 7 years we were only doing these a couple times a week. So anyway, in a year of that we didn't do them at all. But in any case, we donate to St. Jude's, and in the last 7 years, thanks to the Golden Vortex Mining Company, 2 miles out on Silver Creek Wash, running the Moss Mine now, they donated $1,000 to St. Jude's through us last December, and with their help, we have now managed to donate about $9,500 to St. Jude's Research Hospital. We've also donated $200 to St. Jude, Wounded Warrior, and we've also donated $1,000 to some other charities, and we help what we can to keep the bathrooms up, and we also help give a little bit to the Christmas parties around here as well. Now the way we do this is we're going to do a gunfight for you. We hope you enjoy it. Then we're going to humbly walk amongst you with our hats in our hands. In a real polite way of saying, please donate to our cause. And we got a real nice way of saying, please. Please. Thank you. We appreciate it. Yes, we do.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything we don't use are powder and primers and things we need for doing the show, we donate to somebody who needs it. Now, as I was saying, open is a gold mining camp. Not a town, but even the gold mining camp has to have a bank, and the bank is over there. Now, there is another place in a town like this you can find something of value, and that's at an assay office, which is back over here. Now, anytime you got those two things, you better have a sheriff to guard that gold, because somebody's going to be around trying to take something for nothing, and that would be us. But fortunately for us, somebody shot the sheriff last week. But there you, Dusty, you shoot that sheriff. Well, it wasn't me. I shot a deputy. In any case, anytime you got a bank full of gold and no sheriff to guard it, you're going to have bad guys hanging around. It's a gunfight time.
Hey, this here's town I tell you about. Right, I like it. Yeah, well, I've been here for about 2 weeks, and I've been waiting for a stage to show up with some gold on it. He showed up yesterday, and I missed him.
You missed him.
Yeah, I got stuck in the outhouse over there.
Well, you got stuck in the outhouse?
Well, yeah. I was over there, but when I tried to get out, knowing I had to come out here and rob that stagecoach, I couldn't find any toilet paper.
Oh, that's not good.
No, was there but drove a catalog?
Catalog or nothing.
I had to ruin a good pair of socks to get out of there.
That'll do it.
So anyway, I missed the stage, but I know that stage had a couple of bags of gold on it, so it's got to be somewhere in here in town.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming it's over in that bank, but I'm not too sure about that bank, because that bank closed down for about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, I'm not sure why they closed that place down. That's a bar, a bank, and a dance hall.
Yeah.
You know, they closed it down all because of a beer.
A beer?
Yeah, I'm called Corona. Anyway, they shut her down, but it's back open now, so there might be some gold in there. Now, one of us got to go in there and rob the bank. And I tell you what,
What's
I
that?
saw these 2 kids playing this game the other day. I'm out of coins, so we can't flip. So we're going to play this game. The one who loses goes in there and robs the bank.
Oh, okay.
It's a game called rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, yeah, I know that game.
All right. We're going to play that. The one who loses goes in there and gets the bank. Goes
Okay.
Gets the, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, go rob the bank.
Win.
Yeah. While you're in there, I'm going to go rob the I'm going to go look at the assay office over here.
Alright.
Might be something in here, too. Hello, man. How you doing? How you looking there? You got a bag of gold. Yeah. Oh, and I'm going to take these saddlebags, too. What? No, I want the saddlebags wet. Yeah, I'm taking them, too. What are you going to do about it? Stay away from that shotgun. Don't you do it. That old guy lost his mind. Trying to fight over a pair of saddlebags.
There, shot.
Yeah. That old man over there,
Yeah.
I found the other bag of gold.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't care about the bag of gold, but he wanted to fight over these saddlebags.
Saddlebag?
Yeah, reach for a shotgun the whole 9 yards.
I told you he's mean.
I know.
He ain't right.
Oh, I know why he wanted to fight now.
What's that?
He's been over there hoarding toilet paper.
Oh! Good shot. I'll do that. Hey, I
Come on, let's get out of town before somebody shows up.
took his socks too. That's my socks up. I took his socks.
Now, wait a minute. You hear something squeaking? Hey, looky there.
What is that?
Well, that's a kid playing sheriff.
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, I ain't playing, I is the sheriff.
Oh, he is.
You are the sheriff.
Well, that's what the badge says.
Thought you shot the sheriff. Well, now who'd make you sheriff? You ain't even shaven yet.
Well, now, that's actually a funny story. I was on my way to town this morning, and a fella's trying to try to pay.
Did he, Jim?
And he said, hey, kid, want to be sheriff? I said, sure.
Oh, I guess I know. You know who did.
I know who it was. It's that old man in the rocking chair up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know why he sent you down here?
Why's that?
To get you killed.
Why would you do something like
But
that?
he thinks you can mess around with his daughter and he ain't too happy about it.
No,
Yeah.
hey,
Oh, well, he thinks so, so he sent you down to get you killed. And I tell you what, you just leave us alone, we won't have to kill you.
I can't do that.
What do you can't do that?
I'm going to take you to jail.
Take us to jail.
Yeah.
Look at your ass. that?
Yeah, man, you playing on that.
Stay. Folks, calm down. They still work.
What?
Okay, now they don't.
Right. Now you just leave us alone before we have to kill you.
Right.
Cut shot the last.